morning, marketers, and thanks for joining us for our monthly virtual marketing lab. I'm Renee Lowe. I sit on the customer marketing team here at LinkedIn, and I get to be your moderator for today. Today's class that you're joining us for is called Fundamentals to Advertising on LinkedIn. It's all about just helping you set that foundation so you're ready to advertise and take your ad campaigns to that next level. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping details. The console that you're on today is called Slido. On that right-hand side, you'll see a Q&A box. That Q&A box is where you'll be able to ask us any questions at any point during the presentation. I'll pretty much be your voice today for our presenters. You'll also be able to upvote any of our attendees' questions today, as well as make yourself anonymous if you don't feel comfortable having your name on the board. In addition to that, we will also be setting poll questions live. We'll test that functionality out shortly. We love these polls because they're just interactive ways for us to get to know you a little more. On the left-hand side, you'll see on the slide that we've highlighted an agenda tab. This is super important. I always get questions about where to find the deck, additional resources. All of that's included already. So go ahead and click on that point drive link if you want to follow along. I also will call out that we will send everything out to you after the session. So if you love this recording, feel free to send it along to your colleagues. Follow along afterwards. We are doing a live demo as well. Just two more quick items. We're going to take a coffee break halfway through the session. This will just be a quick 5-minute break. I always joke, but not really joke. This is a good time to hashtag LinkedIn Marketing Labs. Shameless plug for our own program. Feel free to also check out that hashtag later today. And finally, I will set a survey live at the end of the session today. This is really important for us so that we can get your feedback, so that we can continue to optimize and improve this program. Whatever feedback you give us helps future advertisers as well. Cool. Now you'll get to meet our two incredible presenters today. If you guys don't mind just stating your name and what you do at LinkedIn, I think we'll start with you, Jen.
Yes, my name is Jen Majorana. I am a senior account executive here at LinkedIn, and I work in the tech vertical.
And hi, everyone. My name is Ashir Nelson. I am an account executive working on our portfolio team, helping small and medium-sized businesses based out of the San Francisco office.
Great. So now that you know a little bit about us, we'd love to get to know a little bit about you. So please, if you don't mind, I'm setting a poll question live right now. If you can tell us what city you're joining us from, we'd love to know. I'm always shocked because we typically have a global audience here, so let us know who's here. We got New York representation, San Francisco, Zealand, I assume that's New Zealand. Give you a couple seconds to fill that out. And I'm sure like as people are joining, I just want to reiterate, feel free to ask questions to us throughout today's session, and slides and resources are available in that agenda tab. All right. Give people a couple seconds.
See a lot of people from New York, my hometown.
Yeah, pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, great New York representation.
Awesome. East Coast.
East Coast representing. I hope you guys are doing okay with the snowstorm.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Chicago's popping.
Yep.
All right, got a lot of people joining us now. For those of you that were on early, thank you. You guys are very committed. Cool. Thank you for letting us get to know where you are coming from today. I'm going to jump ahead and give you all a quick overview of the agenda. So we'll kick it off with just an overview of LinkedIn, our platform, how we've gotten to where we are. Then we'll dive into targeting and the benefits of leveraging our first-party data for your ads. Jen will talk about building your organic presence, super important, especially as you're trying to grow your following, build your brand. And then Ashir will go into how to amplify your reach with LinkedIn ads. He'll also do a demo of building a successful sponsored content campaign, and then we'll wrap it up with optimization tips. That's typically my favorite part, and we'll also have live Q&A at the end. With that, I am going to hand it right over to Ashir to dive into LinkedIn and our environment.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network with over 660 million users worldwide in over 200 countries and territories. Now, when you think of this community of professionals, who's involved? Well, we have a variety of C-suite executives, the mass affluent, influencers, IT decision makers, opinion leaders, and more. So I want to actually dial this back to what LinkedIn's overarching vision is. LinkedIn's vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And in that same vein, the vision of LinkedIn Marketing Solutions is to create economic growth opportunity for every organization worldwide. And when you think about why why people want to come to LinkedIn, it's mainly because they're looking to become more productive and successful. They want that economic opportunity. And I'm going to show you today a few reasons why so many people have joined LinkedIn and why it's a great place to market for your business. So people come to LinkedIn in the past. When LinkedIn first started, it was very much known as a job platform. So if you're an organization or a company, you can basically post a position that was open and have that filled. Or if you're a candidate, you can come on LinkedIn and basically get a new position. But today, it's very much known as a content platform. As you can see on the slide, we get over 9 billion content impressions every single week, with 15 times more content posts than job posts in the newsfeed, with 57% of that traffic being mobile. So when you think about the overall vision and mission and how people are leveraging LinkedIn.com, it's a great place, especially if you're looking to reach that professional audience, to advertise and even post your organic content as well. Now let's go and dive into what makes people actually want to come to LinkedIn versus other social media platforms. This is a study done by Interpret, where on the left-hand side, you can see some of the reasons why people visit social media platforms. And on the right-hand side, or in the top side, you can see that it's LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, unsurprisingly, LinkedIn is used with intention. People are coming on here to advance their career opportunities. They're looking to hear from influencers, people who are experts and leaders in their field. And for other platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, a lot of people are going there to become or to be entertained and really just connect with friends and family. So, there's no knock to any other platform. It's just really there's a different intention for each one. And if you're looking for a place where you're looking to reach those professionals who are looking to, consume that content that is going to make them more productive and successful, here's the place to do it. And because we have a environment where our members are so intentional about their use, we like to think that we created a safe environment and we built a level of trust with our members. And I think it shows because Business Insider for the past 3 years or on an annual basis, they post a digital trust report. And I'm proud to say that for the 3rd year in a row, we've come as #1 as the most trusted digital platform today. And let's explore some of the reasons why. On the bottom of the screen, you can see some of the questions that were included in the digital trust report. So the first question is, what platforms do you have the most confidence in with your privacy and data? The second question was, what platforms are least likely to show deceptive content, scams, clickbait? And then the third question is, what platforms do you feel safest participating on? And by far, LinkedIn came as #1. And then the last question is, what platform has the most annoying ads? And I'm so happy to say that we got the lowest amount of votes for that one. So again, we love to provide that safe environment. And as a marketer, I think it helps because we also like to think for you have a high quality environment to actually conduct your marketing efforts, whether that's paid or it's organic. One thing is that we've put a lot of work into the LinkedIn.com to make sure that it's an uncluttered environment where people can see your ads very clearly. They can see your content very clearly within the newsfeed. They know exactly what they're looking at and why they're clicking on it when they click on it. Not only that, but you also have a place where you can feel brand safety, right? A place where you can post about your brand and not feel like your brand is going to be tarnished in any way, shape, or form. You also have transparency so that whether it's organic or whether it's from the paid side, you have full transparency in terms of analytics and reporting to show you exactly why you're being successful or where you can have room for improvement. Now, there are a variety of ways that makes, a variety of reasons that LinkedIn.com is a high quality environment, but I think I want to open it up to Q&A before we jump into targeting with Jen.
You guys have any questions, feel free to enter them. I think we can just keep moving along. I'm sure you'll have more questions as we go.
Perfect.
So I'm going to teach you everything about targeting that LinkedIn offers. There are over 20 different targeting facets available on LinkedIn. It is all first-party data that is coming from members themselves. When a member creates their profile, they are providing all this information of where they work, where they live, what their job title is, and so forth. And what's really great is that marketers can then use this information to run their marketing campaigns. So there are a lot of different ways that you can target your audience. The ones that are most popular and we really recommend starting out with are these ones highlighted in dark green. So that includes company industry, job title, job function, job seniority, and member skills. And we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into how you can be leveraging these and putting together different combinations. So with this example of Matilda Hunt, she is a senior marketing manager here at LinkedIn. So that is her job title, and that is one way that you can go after her is by targeting people with senior marketing manager as their title. However, LinkedIn also categorizes this title into different buckets. So one from a seniority level, she will be considered a manager. And from a job function, this will be considered marketing. So there's two different ways to reach Matilda. One is the job title, and one is the combination of function and seniority together. Another great way to be targeting your audience is by leveraging skills. These are like related keywords of different skills that members have identified as being really strong in, or other members have promoted them in. So for example, if you're thinking of trying to reach that senior marketing manager, instead of just going after the job title or function plus seniority, you can also be going after these skills and the keywords such as LinkedIn marketing or Google AdWords, for example. So it's just another really great way to be reaching your audience.
I actually have a pro tip for our viewers. Is that if you really want to do some successful skills targeting, what you can do is actually visit the profiles of some high or a few people that you know you want to go after and look at the skills that they have listed. And whatever you see as a common denominator across those profiles, enter that into your targeting and see the success come.
Yes, that is a really good example. I love it. I actually do that with a few of my clients when we're looking at like what sort of leads are converting, and it's like, well, let's look at what sort of skills these members have.
Exactly.
Yes, awesome. So other ways to be targeting your key audience is by leveraging company name, industry, and size. And so where this lives on LinkedIn and how it's categorized. So this example here is the LinkedIn company page. And so that is the company itself is LinkedIn. The industry is self-identified by whoever creates the company page. In this instance, LinkedIn has identified itself as being in the internet industry. And then the company entered is based on the number of employees. So for example, if you wanted to go after a tech company in the enterprise space, you can be targeting the industry tech or internet and company size 5,000 plus, for example. What LinkedIn also offers is matched audiences, which is this umbrella to all these different ways to reach your audience using marketers' first-party data. So this consists of website retargeting, email contact targeting, account targeting, and lookalike targeting. So website retargeting is amazing because you're able to reach people who have already visited your site and have shown some sort of intent and interest, and then reach them again on LinkedIn with very specific messaging to help kind of move them down that funnel. Just remember that you do need to have the LinkedIn Insights tag implemented on your website to be able to retarget them on LinkedIn. Email contact targeting is a really great way to leverage your CRM or any sort of marketing automation partner. And for example, you can pull a list of individuals who are maybe already in a nurture program that you're trying to move them further down funnel, or like renewing certain customers that are going to be coming up with their contracts. So you can upload a list as a CSV file directly into the Campaign Manager tool and target those specific individuals based on the email matching addresses. And then similar to email matching is the same for account targeting. So you can go ahead and get a list of all the accounts that are most important to your business upload that to the Campaign Manager tool, and then run a campaign targeting employees at those specific companies. And with account targeting, you can also start layering on the LinkedIn targeting facet. So it could be, the company list that you provide, plus, job seniority function and so forth. And then finally, lookalike is really exciting because you can take a seed audience that's really important to you. So for example, a list of your current customers, upload that list to the Campaign Manager tool, select the lookalike feature, and then find people who are similar to your current customers. So they will therefore have a higher likelihood of engaging and performing with your program.
Well, one small tip to actually add is with email contact targeting and account targeting, if you know who your customers are, you can actually exclude them from any prospecting campaigns. So that will just allow you to save more money so you're not spending reaching their eyeballs, essentially.
Yes, that is a great tip. So I want to take an example, which is Tom. He is a senior program manager at an enterprise business. So let's think of all the different ways that we can be reaching Tom. Okay, so his seniority, he is a senior individual contributor. His job function is either in IT, engineering, or program management. He works at a company that has at least 500 or more employees, and he's located in the United States. So different combinations of ways that we could be reaching him. One is just by job title and going after program managers or senior program managers. Next is going after job function and seniority. So again, you would be targeting the IT, engineering, and program management plus senior level or senior plus for the seniority. For skills and seniority, you could go after program management, for example. I think that is probably the most obvious skill to go after. And then the Campaign Manager tool will prompt additional skills that are in line with program manager. And then layer on that seniority level of senior plus as well. And then from a groups and seniority level, there are going to be groups that are specific to program management that you can be targeting, as well as the senior level plus seniority. So again, all these different ways that you can be reaching Tom, essentially 4 examples here, which would be 4 separate campaigns. You could launch them all, see what performs best, optimize from there. So a good checklist in terms of targeting best practices is make sure that you really understand your buyer persona, that it's really well defined. When launching, start with a really broad audience first, and then you can narrow it down. Try to keep your audience over 50,000, but really aiming for that 100 to 300,000 audience size as a sweet spot on LinkedIn. Try audience expansion if you want to improve your reach. That is a feature that you just need to tick the box when setting up a campaign, and it will find more people similar to your current target audience. Most importantly, experiment and A/B test. We say this all the time to our clients. You have to test to see what works best, and it's different for everyone, to be honest. Test the seniority targeting facet as opposed to years of experience or age. I'd say with my clients, I'd say almost all of them use the seniority facet, whereas I see in education verticals, that's when they're doing a lot more of years of experience or age, because maybe they're trying to get someone to sign up for an MBA, for example.
There's actually 2 things I would like to mention off this slide. So on one hand, the audience expansion box, right? If you're looking to reach a specific audience, let's say you're looking to generate specific types of leads, I would recommend keeping that box unchecked, because it will look for people that are similar to your audience, but it may be people that you don't actually want to go after. So just be wary of how you're using that. And then another thing is, what was the last point that you just mentioned on?
Oh, about the years of experience.
Yes, age and years of experience. So I think that years of experience is a great way to target, especially through the education. But it's important to know that when using something like age is actually based on someone's graduation date. Yeah. So when you're using age targeting, it may actually be excluding people who should be in your audience, because you're using something that, if your target audience doesn't actually list their graduation date on their profile, they won't be targeted. So if you can find a different way, I would recommend using something like years of experience.
Yeah. And then finally, for any global programs, to break it out regionally, so have your North America, your EMEA, your APAC programs, so that each region gets a fair share of impressions and delivery, so that one region doesn't kind of capitalize on that. So we have a poll question. You're running a campaign targeting specific job titles and have a high cost per click. What additional targeting options could you test? 1A is job seniority plus job function. B, skills plus seniority. C, groups plus years of experience. And D, skills plus years of experience.
Cool. While we give you a couple seconds to fill that out, this is like a pop quiz. I figured we can jump into some of the great questions already streaming in. So there's someone saying that when they look at their campaign demographics, they sometimes see job functions that they're not actively targeting. Do you guys have any idea why that may be?
Yes, I would love to take that. I think that actually touches on what I mentioned with audience expansion. So whenever you go and launch a new campaign, what's happening is that audience expansion box is already checked. So you need to make sure that if you're going after specific functions, seniority, job titles, to make sure that you uncheck that when you're setting up your campaign. That's usually the biggest culprit I see for unwanted leads.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I've also found that on occasion, someone could have multiple job functions if they're working multiple jobs. So just know that, take a look at the leads that you're getting. Are they still quality, or is it just on the campaign demographic level? There's another quick question that I can answer. Someone was asking whether or not the email list upload will work if you only have 100 emails or so. So that unfortunately will not work. You will need to match at least 300 minimum in order for us to target that and create a segment. This is largely because we are very much a members first platform and we really value our members' privacy. So that's why we don't allow that type of targeting, that type of narrow targeting.
And something to get around that as well is using account level targeting. So if you do only have a short list of people to go after, maybe try some account targeting where you're going after specific companies and then you layer on our first party data targeting on top of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. We can jump back into the poll results if you want, Jen.
Yeah, so thanks to everyone who participated in the poll. And this was sort of a trick question because the answer is all of the above. There are all different ways that you could be trying to bring down your cost per click.
We really got you. We're really trying to make sure that all of you are paying attention today.
Yes. Okay, and so I'll move on since we addressed the question.
Actually, we have a lot, so I might run through a couple more. I'm very engaged audience today.
Awesome.
Katie is asking whether we will allow or functionality with targeting, like and or.
Yes, actually that just rolled out within the last month, so it's very new. Great question, and thanks for bringing it to this webinar. Yeah, it is now available. You can do and or targeting.
And then Derek has a question about website retargeting. What are your thoughts on re-engaging the audience with different messaging? Any pro tips?
Yeah, so I think that whenever you're thinking about a retargeting campaign, you just have to first identify what the objective of your retargeting campaign is before you start changing your messaging. A lot of times, I see website retargeting to drive additional leads. So it would make sense to have a maybe slightly different message, but something that is still targeted toward the offering that you have with that ad in the first place. So yeah, I would just identify what the purpose of the retargeting campaign is. If you're going after, let's say, existing customers that you want to retarget through like an uploaded list, that may be a whole different message than if you're going after cold prospects that you're retargeting now to drive additional leads. So just something to consider.
Yeah. And just on the note of retargeting, it is really just a best practice to have a retargeting campaign running. We refer to it as part of a complete breakfast when you're thinking about your overall marketing program. So while your retargeting campaign may not have as much scale as some of your other audience targets, we do see an uplift in performance.
Awesome. I see another question here about account targeting. So how is account targeting different from targeting based off of company name? Is there a benefit to using each one?
Yeah, so they're very similar, and when you want to target just company names within the Campaign Manager tool, you can enter up to 100 companies. And it's kind of a manual process, so that is one option, and then the second is to upload the list. And so we recommend having at least 300 companies. And then that's just so much faster. And it really allows you to scale as well.
To add on to that question, they were also wondering how we ensure the account name is the same one that's on LinkedIn. I think one tip is to look in the Help Center. There's actually a template, and I believe in the template we ask for a company website as well, in addition to company name. So that's going to be a great way to make sure you are targeting the right company. So like if someone else has company name LinkedIn, you aren't targeting the wrong LinkedIn. Awesome. We'll do one more question back to the retargeting. Robin has a question about what the best type of content is in the most successful retargeting campaigns. I think you touched on this a little bit, but if you have any other tips.
Yeah, I just would back up what Ashir was saying. Since people who have already been to the website have shown some intent in the company, then having a lower funnel message is what I see most of my clients do, and it performs well. So you can think of it as more of a demand gen play, and you can be promoting a more lower funnel asset or even a big ask, such as a demo.
And also I would think and consider congruency from ad to website, right? So on the ad, on the retargeting ad, make sure that your image is actually something that is congruent brand-wise, color scheme-wise to what they're going to arrive to on and see on your website, because that also will increase conversions.
Yeah, that's a great call out. And then last question, I know I said last question earlier, with account and email targeting, what do you do if the names aren't an exact match? I'm assuming a lot of advertisers that we work with have issues where they have work email, and we all know most people create their LinkedIn profile with their personal email. I think the best tip here is actually then target by the account and target by job function versus having match back issues. Do you guys have any other tips to add to that?
I actually just want to support your recommendation, because when you also do account level targeting plus function, you're getting every member of the buying committee, right? So, I think a lot of people, they think of ABM or account-based marketing and they go after specific individuals, but there are more people who are influencing that decision, and, doing it with account level targeting where function allows you to do that.
Yeah, and I guess from a match rate perspective, we see a much higher match rate with account lists. I think it's like 80 to 90% plus, whereas the contact targeting lists are more like 30, 40% because of that email matching.
Yeah, that's great. And then actually one more hack that we found works if you're getting a lot of work emails, but you want to retarget those individuals, is website retargeting. So let's say they filled out the form, they converted, they landed on a thank you page. You could actually retarget that thank you page, and that will essentially retarget any authenticated LinkedIn user with whatever you want to retarget with. Cool, I think.
Good tip.
Yeah, we have to hack our way around it sometimes too here at LinkedIn.
Yes.
I think with that we can close out Q&A for now, and we can jump right into organic presence.
Yes, perfect. So I'm going to share with you ways that you can be successful organically on LinkedIn. So I'm curious how many people on the marketing labs right now already have their company page built out, and definitely big kudos to you if you have already done this. So we have seen that companies that see a lot of success and drive a lot of engagement are posting an average of 1 time per day. And they're posting all sorts of content, definitely leveraging what they already have. So this can be a blog post, a video, an infographic, an ebook, talking about a webinar that's coming up, or just promoting something that's in the news that's relevant to their audience and to their company. So when you are thinking about what sort of approach to take with your posts, remember visual is the new headline. So please make sure that you have really, really good striking imagery so that it will stop people's thumbs as they're going through the feed. Next, links drive engagement. So be sure to have all of your posts linked to another page as opposed to just a simple post of saying hello. You definitely want to be driving somewhere. Yeah, and then most importantly, really know your audience. So you're going to be wanting to promote content that is just going to be really, really relevant to them. One great way to do that is just pay attention to what is trending in the news. Again, LinkedIn also curates each day like the top stories, so you can see if there's anything there that you would want to repurpose and repost. Another great way to boost your reach is if you are promoting a piece of content that is written by someone that's well recognized or is really featuring an individual is doing an @ mention to that person, and it will then expose your post to their entire network. And then finally, putting hashtags in with your posts is a great way to insert your brand into an already trending conversation. So great examples like today, hashtag marketing labs. And then finally, when you're starting to think about, the voice of your brand and who you want to be identifying with, typically you're going to focus on 3 to 5 individuals from your company. Often they're C-level or people who have a lot of expertise within your organization. So you can be promoting any sort of content that they're writing, or share any of their posts, or if there's any news articles that they're spoken about in, promoting that as well. It's going to help your brand grow its follower base as well as that influencer continue to grow their follower base. Okay, so this is a really important slide. I recommend you take a screenshot or when you get the deck to just kind of always keep this slide on file. This just shows how important it is to build out your company page in full and be active on it. So the companies that do, they are receiving 5 times the lift in page views. They're experiencing 11 times lift in clicks per followers, and they are receiving 7 times the average impressions per follower. So there is just really great reward to putting in the effort of building out and keeping an active company page.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add as well is that 90% of the buying research is done before actually speaking to a sales rep at a company. So it definitely helps to have an organic presence. I actually just received feedback from one of my clients that one of their prospects had went to their company page to do the research and find out that they were legitimate, that they actually wanted to get involved with them, and that's what made them ultimately reach out and sign up for a demo. So it's just a really great way to help sell without actually having to sell.
Yeah, that's an amazing example. Yes, it's like you have your website and then you have your company page. So
exactly,
it's definitely a big place where people are doing research. So what does it mean to have a built-out company page? There are a few different elements. One, you want to make sure that you have your logo, your tagline, a description, identify which industry you're in, where you are located, the company size, and make sure that there's a link that drives to your website. So from an engagement perspective, at a minimum, once every 30 days, please be posting. However, those that see the most success are posting at least once a day. So keep that cadence as high as you possibly can. And remember, you don't always have to be creating new content to post. It could just be as simple as sharing something that maybe the CEO posted that day. And then from a quality perspective, ensure that there's at least 150 followers to your company page. So when thinking about your audience, it's really important to be promoting content that's going to be relevant to them. And what's very exciting is with the LinkedIn company pages, you are now able to understand what sort of topics are trending against a specific audience. So here in this example, it's really honing in on basically engineers within the gaming industry in San Francisco. And it is saying, the topics that is trending with this audience are video games, Microsoft, blockchain, coding, and digital reality. So if you're trying to think of what you should be putting out to this audience, you can find articles that are specific to these trending topics. And you can do it for any sort of audience that's most important to your business. Back to the example of promoting your posts with hashtags. Again, this really helps you insert yourself into already trending conversations. So with the example of today in our marketing labs, you can be like, I just attended the LinkedIn marketing labs, hashtag marketing labs, marketing life, and so forth.
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
I'm going to stop you really quickly. There is a question. Katie is way ahead of the curve, and she's thinking about hashtags and using that in sponsored posts. Is there any impact to having that versus in an organic one?
I still recommend to use it with my clients.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think that having hashtags in any post, whether it's organic or paid, is a great way to just add visibility. We do have a virality factor built into the content on our platform. And I think that any chance that you get to be a part of a specific hashtag allows more people within your targeted audience to find you. So definitely go ahead and use it on your sponsored content.
Yeah, I definitely would echo that. The virality aspect is huge with hashtags, and it allows you to essentially tap into maybe like Dreamforce was last week. You couldn't have a presence, you could hashtag Dreamforce. I will say that if you are doing a lead generation ad, I would use hashtags a little more cautiously, because that essentially will allow your clients to have another click that they could exit your ad from and not complete the designated action you want. But for brand awareness, hashtags all the way.
Yeah.
Good call out.
Good call out. Cool. Yes. And I also want to talk about the page analytics tab that's within your company page. There is a tremendous amount of information that is available here to help you understand who is coming to your company page and how well your organic posts are doing. So you can see on a post-by-post basis how many views you're receiving, what the engagement level is, what sort of traffic you're receiving to your site, whether it's coming from mobile or from desktop. And all of this information will help inform you how to continue to optimize your organic strategy. So just remember that when you are posting from your company page, that is an organic update, and the only people who will see it are going to be your company page followers. If you want it to be going outside of that company follower base, then you should be boosting it and leveraging sponsored content to make sure that it's going to a wider net. And what you could be doing with your company page analytics is understanding, what are your top performing organic posts, and those are a really good indicator of what you could be repurposing from an investment perspective. So just to reiterate, to make sure that was super clear, your organic posts are only going to be seen by your followers, and when you want to have a post go beyond your follower base, that is when you would start investing behind it and leveraging sponsored content. Okay, are there other questions that have come in?
Gina has a great question that I see very frequently. So an individual, probably like their CEO, probably has more connections and followers than the company right now. So do you guys have a perspective on whether or not the individual should post first and then the company should reshare, or should the company post first and the individual reshares?
So the thought that I have on that is we recently released a feature on the company page where you can invite your connections to follow your company page. So I think first and foremost, that should be leveraged, right? Where the CEO is actually going and becoming a company page admin and then inviting his or her connections to follow the page. Then if you, beyond that, if you have any other, if you want other suggestions, I do recommend posting from the company page first and then projecting that message and sharing that message with your personal page. The reason why is because you ultimately want your followers to go back to the company. And so if you post it from the personal page first and then from the company page, it just may not have as much reach as the vice versa. So that's my recommendation there.
Oh, that's a great call out. I might jump around a little because we're getting a couple questions that's running a little bit ahead, but figured we might as well answer it because it is one of the top upvoted questions right now. When bidding on CPC, what are the benefits of using the recommended bid versus the bidding the minimum possible amount?
So you could think of it as what you're most comfortable in bidding and what the max you're willing to pay for a click, and then you could use that as how you should be bidding. The recommendation and the bid range is really based on what other marketers, how popular that audience is and what the demand is for them. And we actually recommend bidding outside of that range when you first start a campaign. We'll get into this in a little bit more detail, but it's just going to give you the best shot out of the gate and making sure that your campaign gets a lot of traction. And remember, this is a second price auction, so you're only going to pay 1 cent more than the second highest bidder. So if you bid $15 and someone else bids $10, you will actually just pay $10.01.
And I think another call out just on that same topic is that, it's a best practice to A/B test from the beginning of your campaign. So you want to always find out what's working and what's not working. And a lot of marketers shoot themselves in the foot by underbidding out the gate, trying to get the lowest cost. But in fact, you need to actually bid more to make sure that, we always recommend a minimum of 4 ad creators running at any given time so that you can A/B test and see which ads are resonating with your audience the most. And if you don't have enough bid flowing through those 4 ads, then you won't be able to test properly and understand what's going to be effective in the long run. So I would always just keep a long-term approach when you're doing your bids and think of it that way.
Yeah, cool. One more question that I'll start answering, and then we'll probably continue answering as the rest of the presentation goes on. Someone asked if they're just getting started with ads, what do we recommend they do? I think step 1, you need a LinkedIn page to launch an ad. So it'd be great if you start building a following around that LinkedIn page. Jen just talked about how to build an active page, so fill out all those steps. I actually heard in an in-person marketing lab that some of those little active page steps or complete steps, people didn't fill out. So it was like having that tagline and having that site. These are little things that you can start doing, and then we'll talk more about other ways when you're just getting started shortly. I think we can move on to ad formats.
Sure.
Great. So now I'm going to just cover our ad formats and how that works. But before we jump into the actual ad formats that you can use, I think it's important to understand that we've recently switched to an objective-based advertising flow, right? What does that mean? It means that instead of when you first sign on to LinkedIn.com and to your ad account, instead of choosing the actual ad format that you want to work with going forward, you're going to choose the objective that your campaign is looking to achieve. And that covers all sections of the buying cycle. So from awareness to consideration all the way to conversion, you can choose an objective that suits you. So just to cover what those objectives are, under the awareness part of the buying cycle, you have the brand awareness objective to choose. Under consideration, you have website visits, video views, and engagements as the 3 objectives that you can choose. And then under conversions, you have either website conversions or lead generation. And the difference between those is that when you choose website conversions as your objective, it will send people to your website landing page to drive conversions there using the Insight Pixel. But when you use lead generation as the objective, it will use a lead gen form, which is the in-platform version of a landing page. So I will go over the specific ad types and where they're applicable, but it's just great to know before you even launch a campaign what objective you want to go forward with. So without further ado, let's talk about single image ads. Single image ads are the flagship product of LinkedIn marketing solutions, and they're formerly known as sponsored content. But in fact, on the right-hand side of the screen, you should be able to see an example of what single image ads look like. A single image ad is phenomenal because it actually blends in very well with the newsfeed, right? When you're looking at the newsfeed, a lot of times you're going to see that content, again, that will make you more productive and successful. And so when people are looking, they don't even see the promoted, little text that says promoted to show that it's a paid advertisement, because all the content blends in so nicely. So it's a great way to hide in plain sight. A great way if you have, I really recommend investing in high quality imagery so that when people are scrolling through their feed, it makes them stop and look to see what your intro text says and why they should click into it in the first place. But single image ads is a great way to drive results all across the buying cycle, from awareness all the way down to conversions. And so just a few highlights from single image ads that I want to point out is you can target your audience using our first party data. I just want to reiterate that, anything that you see on someone's LinkedIn profile, you do have the ability to target them with any of our ad formats. So just keep that in mind. And then also you can publish single image ads anywhere on the web, one on LinkedIn.com, but then also through high quality placements on partner websites that we have vetted to make sure that they are in line with our integrity and our safety and trust, values. And so you can trust that when you are using the LinkedIn Audience Network, that your single image ads are also popping up on websites that are trusted as well for your brand. And then lastly, again, you can grow your business by really using single image ads for lead generation as well. I think, this is one of the biggest, top of mind things for my customers specifically, because a lot of them they're looking to generate leads, right? Let's face it. And so when you're looking to generate leads, I think a single image ad is perfect because it makes you stop. There's nothing happening on the screen for you to divert your attention except look to see what happens with the intro text. And when the intro text resonates with your audience, they're going to click on that ad and really just sign up for, either give their information through a lead gen form or go to your website landing page and submit their contact information. So I really highly recommend single image ads, especially if you're launching your first campaign. Next, let's jump into native sponsored video format, right? Sponsored video is actually a newer product, but many of you are probably familiar with video in general, right? So on the right-hand side, again, you can see a demo of what it looks like, what sponsored video actually looks like. Just a highlight to call out is that it will autoplay on mute when you're scrolling through the feed and you come across the video. And one of the best uses for sponsored video is to be able to tell a brand story. So, if you're thinking from a brand awareness perspective, a video is a great way, because it drives 3 times more engagement than a single image ad. It's a great way to pull your audience in and actually provide a message that's really going to resonate with them and make them fall in love with your brand. When you're thinking from a middle or bottom of the funnel sort of conversion type of standpoint, video ads are really great because, again, they draw the audience in, but this time your message is going to be more around why they should actually download your content. What's going to make them, what's going to be the benefit to them once they actually sign up for your white paper or ebook or even sign up for a demo. So I think there are multiple reasons that you can use sponsored video, but again, they get 3 times more engagement than single image ads, which again, I already stand behind and think they're very effective. But, sponsored video is just a great way in another format for you to really just boost your results. Now, some call outs that I do want to highlight on the screen is that they are a mobile and desktop format. And also you have the ability to bid by cost per view, cost per impression, or cost per click. Another thing is that they do integrate with lead gen forms. So again, our lead gen forms on average perform better than website landing pages from our customers. So I would highly recommend, if you're launching your first campaigns, even, A/B testing, running people to your lead gen form ad versus your website landing page and see what performs better. Another thing I want to highlight is some of the benchmarks and metrics that we've seen so far. On average, the view-through rate is between 19 and 30%, and the completion rate is between 18 and 25%. So people are really viewing these ads. And also, the higher amount of times, the more impressions that you deliver with this ad, the more likely they are to actually view the whole thing and really get involved with your brand. That's the whole point of this, is that we want to make sure that people fall in love with you and in love with your company so that they can do more business with you and refer you more. And then lastly, I want to highlight the Moat integration. So Moat is a brand intelligence and analytics platform that video ads will be integrating with soon. So I highly advise to stay in touch with the LinkedIn Marketing Solutions blog to keep up to date on this integration. Now, let's move on to the next format, which is carousel ads. Carousel ads is another great way to tell a brand story. As you can see from the right-hand side, that, it really starts off with, what we use for carousel ads are what's known as cards. And there's the first card on this example where they really have something to catch your attention, but then they use the other cards to really lead you through different products and different calls to action, which gives you additional opportunities to click through to your website. And then it ends with a clear call to action in text form so that they know exactly what to do. I highly recommend using carousel ads to, again, lead people through a journey, but it's way easier to set up than maybe doing a full production of a video. So if you still want to tell a brand story, but you have, you don't have a lot of resources, or, you need a little less lift with the ads that you're getting up and running, I highly recommend trying carousel ads. Now let's run through some of the highlights of carousel ads. as a best practice, we have 2 to 5 cards that we recommend, but you can use up to 10 cards at any given time. We also do support all languages, so any language that LinkedIn supports, you can use. So depending on where the region is that your target audience, of the target audience you're looking to go after, you can have your carousel ads in their language so that, essentially it speaks to them in where they are at any given time. And then lastly, one of the best things about it, again, it integrates with lead gen forms. I don't need to reiterate that, but again, I recommend trying it.
Yeah, actually somebody asked what the actual data points are behind lead gen forms, so I looked up a quick stat for you. Lead gen forms with sponsored content or single image ads is 3 times more likely to convert than if you're driving someone to your website. So we've been talking a lot about how beneficial lead gen forms are. That's just another data point for you to take back.
Precisely.
Yeah, and it's on average our benchmark is a 10% completion rate for lead gen forms.
Yep.
It's huge. It's awesome.
And they're powerful. Since we're on the topic of lead gen forms, let me give them another plug, right? Some more information. The reason why it's so powerful is because, again, whatever someone has on their LinkedIn profile, that is, a lead gen form is built with autofill. So what that means is that whenever it pops up, let's say you're asking for email, job title, company, and their title, their title. I don't know if I said that, but essentially that will all automatically fill when the person clicks into the lead gen form. So all they have to do is click submit. It's a 2-click submission, whereas they go to a website landing page, there's nothing auto-filled, and to be honest, I think the 10% completion rate comes from our customers being a little spoiled, or our members being spoiled at this point, because they really have no lift, essentially, to be able to, sign up for an ebook or white paper. So again, just a great plug for lead gen forms, and thank you for asking.
Yeah, I think the fewer points of friction there are, the better. And then just to add, I know we're going down a lead gen form rabbit hole a little bit. Someone was asking about integrations for lead gen forms and how to integrate that with your CRM. So yes, that's doable. I will include a link to a Help Center article with step-by-step instructions on how you do that. Because
Awesome.
it's very complex.
Yes, and I just want to promote the Help Center. I had a client recently ask me just like a dozen specific questions of, like how many seconds is a view considered, just like lots of that. And I was able to like get all that information and share all the links so that he had it, and just like everything's in the Help Center. So if you ever feel stuck, just go to the Help Center, type it in, and you'll most likely find what you need.
Yeah, I use it all the time, actually.
Me too.
Answer my own questions.
Yes.
Exactly. I think we all do. So back to the agenda, right? So moving on to the next format of LinkedIn text ads. LinkedIn text ads is actually one of my favorite ad formats. The reason why is because it's a very underrepresented ad format, but it's so powerful. And the reason why it's powerful is because text ads is a high frequency ad format. So they deliver a lot of impressions, but they have a low click-through rate. So what that means is when someone is on LinkedIn and they're just, let's say it's a desktop only format. So they're on their desktop, they're scrolling through the newsfeed. In the top of the screen and also on the right-hand rail, that's where the text ads lie. Now, it's in their periphery, but again, you're still getting those impressions. So what happens, and where the best use case is when you're using it in conjunction with other ad formats. So just as an example, if you're using text ads in conjunction with sponsored content, you oftentimes see a lift in the open rates or the click-through rates of the sponsored content because of all the impressions that were already happening with the text ads. And, it's important to know that over 5 impressions are necessary on average for someone in your target audience to actually take an action. So you want to make sure that you're setting up your campaign strategy to deliver as many impressions as possible to your target audience. And that's why a multi-product approach is recommended, and specifically text ads plus sponsored content or other formats such as video, etc.
I just want to say what a big fan of text ads I am, and you mentioned this as share, is that it is desktop only. That's a big thing to remember. I have a couple of clients that have a very specific, robust, form fill experience that also incorporates a calendar widget, and it's just, for mobile, it's just not the best experience, but it is for desktop, and being able to run an ad format that is desktop only has really helped them see an increase in performance.
Exactly. So thank you for that. I highly recommend text ads, and not only that, but I'd also want to just give a plug for how it can decrease your overall cost per conversion and cost per click. Again, if you have a single image ad running in conjunction with text ads, generally speaking, because it's such a low, click-through rate, when they're running together and you have all those impressions being delivered, the cost is overall just going to decrease because not many people are clicking on that, but then there's going to be higher intention when someone actually clicks on your single image ad. So there's just numerous benefits to this ad format. Definitely check it out. Next, let me jump into dynamic ads. Dynamic ads is a phenomenal format for engagement. And the reason why is because if you look at the example below, you can see that dynamic ads shows the image of the person who you're targeting, but also your logo's image as well. And, I would imagine that, people like to look at their own face. And if they're seeing it next to the logo of your company, they're going to wonder, why is my face showing up to next to this person's or next to this company's logo? And that's going to make them want to click in. And there's three main reasons why we use dynamic ads. So the first one is to drive conversions. The second is to generate leads. And then the third is to build brand awareness. Now, let me run through each one. So driving conversions really talks more so to driving people to your app or driving people to your website or your landing page. When you talk about generating leads is right there on dynamic ads within the website. So when you're on LinkedIn, you have an actual call to action right there within the dynamic ads that's showing up, in addition to a reason why they should actually download that content. So if your audience resonates with that message, there's a download button right there at the bottom of the ad to just quickly get the content that you're offering. And I think it just makes a much more seamless experience. And then lastly, when you're looking at building brand awareness with dynamic ads is great because, again, it's showing the logo with your target audience, their face, and then also it has the call to action to follow. So if you're looking to increase your followership, or you're just looking to drive overall more traffic to your company page, and have your customers actually look and do that research, that 90% of research that's done before they even reach out to you, I think dynamic ads is a great way to do that.
Yeah, I think I would add for that brand awareness format, we have a couple of little tips, creative tricks that we've used. We've actually tried using it to promote events. So having that individual's face, the member's face, next to the face of a speaker or the person moderating the panel has been really helpful. And then we also have used it for account-based marketing tactics. So let's say you have an account rep that wants to reach out to a bunch of prospects. He knows the company, but he doesn't know the individuals yet. Throw their face next to his or her face and add a little contact us button to a form. And there you go, you have an ABM campaign right there.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We get to test out a lot of fun things when we work at LinkedIn, try all the ad formats out so that we can share the best tips for you.
Exactly. So thank you for that, Renee. And last but not least, let me jump into our message ads. Message ads, which is, a lot of people know as InMail, is LinkedIn's version of email. So within the LinkedIn platform, you have an inbox. And within that inbox, you can actually either receive messages, but also you through your message ads can send direct messages to your target audience. And the beauty of message ads is that, unlike sponsored content or the single image ads where it shows up in the newsfeed, this is really an uncluttered experience. The only thing that your audience is seeing on their screen is the actual message from your company. And so generally speaking, as a best practice, I recommend sending it from someone in your company who's respected, who has authority over the actual message that you're sending. So if it's a message about sales or, attending a sales conference, maybe send it from a senior executive on your sales team. But, either way, it's a really great way to have that one-to-one message so that people can understand that, this is a personal invite to, let's say, a time-sensitive event or a webinar. It's a personal invitation. And I think that, one of the best uses that I find for it is also not only sending people to events, but one of the best features is that you can actually add hyperlinks throughout the message and body of the actual in-mail and or message ad rather, so that people have additional opportunities to reach your website. We also do provide a call to action at the bottom of the screen, but again, having additional opportunities to drive people to your website, who's going to complain about that? So without further ado, let me jump into some of the highlights of message ads from the screen. One, they're mobile optimized, but they're also on desktop. So wherever your customers are, you can reach them, through message ads. There's also real-time delivery to make sure that it reaches them in a timely manner, but also, when they're actually using LinkedIn is when they're going to see that in-mail. It is a charge by, cost per send. So you're only getting charged for how many, for when you send an in-mail, not when anyone clicks on it or opens it. So again, you're only sending it to active users on LinkedIn. And again, as I mentioned, it has an uncluttered professional context, which means that that's the only thing that they're seeing on the screen whenever they're reading it. And then lastly, you have the flexibility to tailor your content. So you want to make that as personal as possible when, I can't emphasize this enough. And I also recommend using this in conjunction with other ad formats such as single image ads, because if you think about it from a practical perspective, when someone's looking through their newsfeed and they're seeing the single image ads, what's happening is that, it is very broad. They know that you might be targeting a lot of people, but when they have those impressions, even if you want to throw some text ads in there, and then they actually have a message ad show up in their inbox, then they're actually seeing, okay, this is for me personally, and here's exactly why I should click on this and maybe sign up for this event, or maybe I should sign up to be a lead and read this white paper or ebook. So just using that multi-product approach is definitely a plus, and message ads is a great way to go. What are the best ways that you use message ads?
Yeah, a lot of my clients leverage message ads, and I'd say the largest use case is to promote webinars and events.
Yep.
And they attach a lead gen form to it.
That's awesome, yeah. I find that one of the best reasons to use message ads in the first place.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah, I think another huge thing is that message ads can be really impactful for that higher seniority reach. So if you're trying to reach the C-suite execs, they don't have time to check their emails. They're probably not always on the LinkedIn newsfeed. They probably are though. Message ads is a great way to hit them when they're on the platform, because it's only, like Ashir mentioned, it only delivers real time when the member is active. So that's a great way. We had a lot of success with this C-suite ebook. It tanked on email, and we were like, what's another way to promote this and get our message out? And message ads just went above and beyond. And then one other quick point, Ashir was talking a lot about using message ads, single image ads, and text ads in conjunction. We actually have a stat that calls out how effective this is. We tested this internally, and we found that when you use all three together, it really is better together than with just single image ads. We saw 24 times conversion rate.
Wow.
So it's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think in addition to decreasing costs, it will definitely help you convert better.
Awesome.
So again, thank you, Renee and Jen, for that. We're going to move on now to Q&A, and then I think we're going to do a little break after before we jump into the live demo. So Renee?
Yeah, all right. Pippa has a question. She's been running a lead generation campaign for several weeks. It's the right audience, CTR is doing well, but no one is filling out the form. Any tips or pointers?
So what are they running? A lead generation?
Lead generation campaign.
Okay.
With lead gen form, no one's filling out the form.
Potentially with or without lead gen form.
Okay.
Pippa, if you want to comment and give us a little more detail, we can dive in later as well.
I would use the demographic data and the campaign manager tool to really understand who is engaging with the ads and make sure that it is the right audience. And you can also start excluding audiences that are not engaging or maybe just not the right fit to really ensure that you are honing in on the right folks.
And one thing that I would just mention as well is when you're looking at generating leads and wondering why no one's filling out if it's a lead gen form, there's a slew of reasons why that may be. The number one and top reasons that I see is because your lead gen form may be too long and you haven't built enough trust with, or run enough brand awareness with your audience for them to feel comfortable giving, maybe filling out 10 fields, right? But if you have a very popular brand, maybe you can ask for more manual entry fields that people are willing to actually submit. And then when you look at a website landing page, I would really consider, again, the congruency between the ad and your website landing page. Are the messages the same? And then also taking a look at your website landing page to understand, are you asking for too much? Is it way too much to fill out? Is it clear and concise to understand why should I exactly be giving my information? What am I going to get out of this? So there are a few things here, I think. If she comments, I'm more than happy to touch on that as well. But those are the top things for me.
Those are some really great
Oh,
tips.
and then we have a lead gen marketing labs, right?
Yes,
That's
we
recorded?
do. That's actually a really great plug. So we do also run a lead generation specific marketing lab where we demo lead gen forms, share lead gen best practices, as well as like different CRM and optimization integrations you can make. So make sure you check that out. We'll include a link after this session. Victoria has a question about whether or not it hurts an ad to use text in the image. I know Facebook, for example, they set restrictions on how much text you can have on the image. Here at LinkedIn, we do not do that. We've actually seen a lot of success. One of the stats you'll share later is that it's actually great to have quotes in your images and stats in your images. We find infographics do really well. My only piece of advice is to make sure that the text that you're putting on the image is visible in mobile view, and you can use that in the preview view of Campaign Manager. Toggle mobile and desktop just to make sure everything is visible. Do you guys have any must-dos or must-don'ts when creating ad copy, headlines, and images?
Yes, we have a lot. One, visual is the new headline. Make sure your imagery is just really strong and clear for people to see with their eyes. People process images so much faster than they can read copy. But from a copy perspective, like try and get that hook, right? Call your audience out, like, hey, IT decision makers, or call out your audience, ask them a question, use a stat, have a really clear call to action.
And I would just emphasize the importance of a call to action, because I can't explain how many times there's such an amazing ad, but there's nothing in the intro text saying, download now, or, visit this link to actually get the content. And therefore, people, they need to be told what to do sometimes so that they can actually take that action. Otherwise, they will continue to scroll. So yeah, again, just make sure you have a clear call to action.
Cool, that's awesome. I think with that, we can go ahead and jump into our break. So you guys can now take a quick 5-minute break. Make sure to come back because Ashir is doing a demo on how to sponsor a post. It's probably most people's favorite part, so that's why we save it for the later half. Take 5 minutes, we'll show a couple commercials, and then hope to see you back. If you have time, hashtag LinkedIn Marketing Labs.
Reminder, present to Tech Buying Committee tomorrow.
This looks interesting.
Your data center should be driving better business outcomes.
Exactly.
Find the right people, the right way. LinkedIn lead gen forms are a great solution for marketers looking for qualified leads. Lead gen forms are customizable, pre-filled forms with a prospect's LinkedIn profile data that can be added to your sponsored content or sponsored in-mail ad. So, how can lead gen forms help you and your business? At a glance, lead gen forms help marketers collect high-quality leads at scale. They provide a simple way for companies to gather the data they need to qualify a lead in one click from a member on LinkedIn. They also make it easy to track the ROI of your LinkedIn campaigns with cost per lead, form fill rates, and conversion rate reporting. You can use lead gen forms to deliver content like white papers and ebooks, share an event sign-up, generate newsletter sign-ups, provide discounts, and more.
Awesome. Welcome back. Hope you had a great break. With that, I get to hand it over to Ashir, who's going to do the demo. Take it away, Ashir.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. And actually, before I jump in, Pippa had actually mentioned that from the question she had about, her lead gen forms, in fact, weren't generating conversions.
Yeah.
So Pippa, I just wanted to call that out. I think it may be worth looking at how many fields you have on your lead gen form, because that's typically the biggest culprit for that not generating leads for you. If that doesn't solve the problem, or you already have just a small amount of fields on the form, then I would definitely, again, look at the message and the image on your actual ad to make sure that it's effective, that it's attention grabbing, so that you have the best chance of success to generate those leads. Hope that helps. So now, without further ado, I'm actually going to jump into a demo, a live demo rather, of how to set up your first campaign. But before doing that, I just want to go over some best practices and tips of how to run a successful lead generation strategy. So it's always recommended to have what we call, full funnel content, which means that from awareness all the way down to conversion, you want to be able to have content built out for that and be running those ads in conjunction. So we always recommend a 60-40 split between awareness and consideration and conversion. So 60% going toward your awareness type ads. So that's blog posts, infographics, industry trends, or influencer content. You can also leverage things like dynamic ads to drive people to your company page so that they can get involved with your organic content. You really just want to make sure people are getting enveloped in your brand at the awareness phase so that they can become interested in receiving middle and bottom of the funnel content. So when it comes to the middle of the funnel or the consideration phase, you really want to allocate 30% of your resources content-wise and also 30% of your budget to this portion of the funnel. And that really includes client testimonials, ebooks, product webinars, white papers. So anything that's really going to inform your prospects on why they should do business with you, what's going to be the benefit of them investing in your products or services, and ultimately then we get to the last 10%, which is the conversion phase. So this is where you're doing like live demos, or you have product or service signups or free trials. And that's really where you want to start closing, right? Making sure that you're turning those leads into actual customers. So again, we recommend a 60-30-10 split between awareness, consideration, and conversion. But if you want, you can actually take a screenshot of this or just view it after we send it out, after the live stream. And next, I also want to talk about another best practice, which is really just programming your content calendar. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's always a best practice to have a minimum of 4 ad creatives running at any given time on your campaigns. But I think having a content calendar is also just a best practice overall to make sure that you have content available and prepared, for when you're looking to launch new campaigns. Especially for like smaller businesses, you want to make sure that you have content prepared in advance of you wanting to launch a campaign to make sure that you're prepared for success. When it's time to go to market, you need to be ready. So make sure that you have a content calendar at your disposal so that you can already have this planned out. Now, I'm going to go into what you need to actually get started with setting up your ad campaign and actually launching your first campaign. So, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have company page access, and you also want to have sponsored content posting access within the company page. The reason why this is important is because if you don't have this admin access, you will not be able to do anything within your ad account, even if you have admin access there. Another thing is you want to also have access to the ad account. So, I'm going to show you through the live demo of where to see this information or where you can add someone else who you want to have access to the ad account. But again, it's of paramount importance that if you want to edit those ads within the account, then you need to have that level of access. So again, just as a quick reiteration and run through, you want to have to set up an account, your company page name and URL. You want to input your credit card details right into the billing center within the ad account. And also you need to know what contacts you want to actually have access to the ad account and also have admin access to the company page. These are all of paramount importance. And now let's jump into the demo. So on the screen, what you can see is a picture of where you select what ad account you're going to use. So what you would do is just I'm going to click into the demo account and show you a walkthrough of what it looks like and where to actually go for different types of information. So as I mentioned, you want to make sure that in the ad account, the right people have the right access. That you're going to find in the top right-hand corner with the cogwheel. And that's where it will be a drop down where you can see manage access, billing center, contact settings, and edit account details. What you're going to look for here is manage access. And so when you click into this, you're going to be able to see different people who have access within your account and also how you can also provide access. So this here, you can see it's a demo account at LinkedIn. There's a lot of LinkedIn people who have access. But for your ad account, you can also click edit, and you can also add a user to your account who you want to be able to manage the account and what level of access. So there are different levels of access. One is account manager, another which basically gives you full access to every editing capability within the ad account. Campaign manager allows you to manage the campaigns, as it mentioned. So you're going to be able to go in and build a campaign, edit, and launch. And then also you have creative managers. So that's someone who can really just dial into the actual creatives of the ads that you're looking to launch. And then lastly, you have a viewer. So that's someone who you just want to see a high-level overview of what's actually going on with the ad account. So let me back out of this and go into what it takes to actually set up your first sponsored content or single image ad campaign. So if you're setting up your first ad campaign, you're going to go to the top right-hand corner and click Create Campaign. And again, you can see through the objective-based advertising flow, I have to first select an objective. So let's use Pippa's example, right? Pippa wants to do lead generation. I'm actually going to do it through website visits just for the purposes of the demo. But again, this is where you can also, an objective you can also use to generate leads. So first and foremost, we're going to think of, let's say we want to target IT decision makers within the United States. So I'm going to use job function and seniority as a way to target these IT decision makers. And the way that we're going to do that is United States is already selected by default, but then what we're going to go down and scroll into is really looking for, again, we're looking for people in the IT function. So I'm going to go to job experience and then click job functions. And once I'm here, you can see a variety of functions that are listed, but I'm going to click information technology. So now I'm targeting only people that, based on their profile, they are listed under the job function of information technology. Then I'm going to narrow audience further, which is and targeting, to also do seniority. So we want to find IT decision makers. I recommend doing, manager and above, because we want to reach as many people within that buying committee who are influential to that purchasing decision as possible. So the way we do that is, again, we're going to go through job experience, job seniorities. And this is where you're going to go and click senior, manager, director, VP, CXO, owner, and partner. Now, obviously, this is a huge campaign. It has 3.6 million people as we're targeting, but this is just a demo. You want to make sure that you stick with Jen's recommendation of having the target audience size of 100 to 400,000 people to make sure that you're hitting within our sweet spot. If you find that your campaigns are successful, then keep that targeting. But if you find that you need to do more optimizations, I'm actually going to show you, again, through this live demo of where you can go to optimize. But let's finish up the ad creation portion.
All right.
Oh, go ahead,
Ashia,
Renee.
just jumping in, a tool that I actually really love is on the right rail. You'll see forecasted results. As Ashir narrowed down the audience, you would have seen that audience size dwindle or increase depending on what he's adding. If you actually look lower down, I'm squinting right now because the screen's right there, there are like CTR estimates as well as bid estimates and bid ranges. This is really useful if you're trying to forecast and plan. I know now is the time for FY20 planning, which is insane. I'm definitely recommending people take a look at that. If you don't have a account representative, I will caution that these are all estimates based off of what you're plugging in. Absolutely. So use that with caution.
Yeah, and then another little hack. Sometimes people want to know like the full available budget. And so to do that, you could put in, you actually put in $1 million as your daily budget. And then on the right-hand side, it will show you what the max range is that's available to spend.
That's awesome. That's a pro tip that I didn't know. So
oh, yeah.
I'll use that.
Good.
Awesome. So one thing that I do want to highlight is that, again, enable audience expansion is already selected by default. So as I mentioned before, if you are looking to drive specific types of leads and you know that your targeting is solid without having this checked, I recommend unchecking it. And also I would say that it just should be a default to uncheck it and only check it if you know that you want some, audience recommendations from the platform. Now we're going to go through and again, here are the different ad types that you can select with the website visits objective. So single image ad is already selected, but you can see carousel image ad, video ad, text ad, spotlight ad, which is the dynamic ads that we mentioned, and also message ads are available to you as well. Then moving on, you can see there's a section known as placement. Placement is, do you want to have or take advantage of our LinkedIn audience network, where, as I mentioned before, we have vetted partners, publishers that we also can show your single image ads to. So if you want to participate in that, then you keep this box checked, but if you don't, uncheck it. Now we're going down even further to set a daily budget. And I do want to go over how to set a budget here, because here's where a lot of advertisers find some difficulty. You can either set a daily budget or set both a daily and a total budget. So if you know that you have a total budget in mind for this campaign, then I recommend setting both a daily and a total budget. The daily budget, actually, for this example, let's start with the total budget. So let's say the total budget for this campaign is $10,000. Let's first enter that. Then when you're looking at your daily budget, on LinkedIn, the average cost per lead is between $100 and $150. But again, I also have emphasized throughout the entire presentation of A/B testing. So we need to make sure that we're having those minimum of 4 unique ad creatives at any given time. So whenever you're starting out a campaign, I recommend setting your daily budget, in fact, to $200 to make sure that you have enough budget flowing through each of your ads to know what's going to actually perform the best. Again, you don't have to worry about overspending because you already have your total budget set, but you want to make sure that you're giving enough on a daily basis to be able to perform, let each ad perform, and know what's going to drive the most success in the long term. Then again, if you wanted to just use daily budget, that's really if you don't have an overarching budget in mind and you're looking to scale. So again, if you're just using daily budget, the minimum I would say is $200 a day. And just keep in mind your objectives and what you're looking to accomplish. Generally speaking, when you're first launching a campaign, it's to really vet out what's going to work. And so this is the best way I would recommend to set it up. Next, we're going to go to bid type. And there are 3 different types of bids. So we have automated bid, we have the enhanced CPC bid, and then the maximum CPM bid. So just in layman's terms, the automated bid is where our algorithm will really allocate your budget according to your objective in the best way possible, right? And so that's going to be just strictly automated, as it says. Enhanced CPC bid is CPC bidding, right? So you want to make sure that if you're using cost per click, that you really are looking to drive quality clicks. Our enhanced CPC bid is really going to tie what you see as this recommended bid. It's going to tie the bid range to the objective that you have. So just as an example, if you have website visits as the objective, CPC bid will only charge you for clicks to your website. That means clicks to the link in your intro text or clicks on your actual image within your ad. So anything that leads them to your website. There are no clicks that are being charged in terms of social action. So if someone clicks on a like or comment or share button, where in the past, you may have been charged for that, we no longer have it where you're charged for these clicks that don't tie to your objective. And then CPM bid, it's very straightforward. It's your cost per impression. So essentially for this bid type, you're paying for the amount, it's how much you're willing to pay for the amount of impressions that the ad is going to deliver over time. So for the purposes of this example, I'm just going to leave it on automated bid, but I wanted to give you an overview of the different bid types. And now lastly, because it's a website visits campaign, you always want to make sure, and I can't add it here because we're using the demo account, but make sure that you set up the Insight Pixel on your website, because this is where you would add conversion tracking, which you can only do by setting up the Insights Pixel. To give you a brief rundown in the Insights Pixel, it basically collects data on your website and the visitors who go there. So it really informs you through the LinkedIn Ad Manager dashboard of what's happening from the first interaction with your campaign in the newsfeed all the way down to going to the thank you page of the asset on your website. And so you can actually track how many conversions your ad campaign is receiving once you actually set up this whole entire flow. So definitely add a conversion here.
Yeah, I'll just chime in. There was a question in the queue that somebody's been running ads that direct to their landing page. They're getting signups and they're seeing it in the CRM. So this conversion tracking option most likely isn't enabled for you, or your Insight tag isn't set up correctly. We'll include a Help Center article, but this one's key in order to track conversions when you look at your campaign.
Thank you, Renee. And one thing on that as well that I want to highlight is that it's always important to be able to track your conversions on LinkedIn platform versus your third-party analytics software. So if you have Google Analytics, that's great, but it's probably tracking everything, right? It's probably tracking LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, any media that you're running. It's all going to Google Analytics, but it's always important to actually know what's happening specifically on the LinkedIn platform. So I highly recommend setting this up correctly, and briefly I'll touch on how you can actually see if it's set up correctly. But before we get into that, let me actually just continue the flow and show you how to set up your actual creatives. So in this screen, this is where you're actually going to set up the ads that you want to run. And again, if you gave someone creative manager access within like the admin portion of your ad account, this is where they would go and be able to make some changes. So what I'm going to do, because it's the ad account, I have to choose browse existing content. But again, if you already have content that's curated, that you already have ready to go, you would click create new ad. I'm going to just browse existing content. I'm going to, this looks great. So, this guy, Alok Kurjawal, he is a tech entrepreneur who is featured on the LinkedIn Spotlight list. I'm going to run this ad. So I'm actually going to select and hit the checkbox next to it and click sponsor. And actually one thing that I want to point out is that in the preview section, as mentioned earlier, you actually have the ability to see what this ad will look like in a desktop view or in the mobile view. So it looks good on both sides. So I'm ready to go. And so I'm going to click X, and you can see the campaign's in draft mode. I do want to point out that if you ever want to delete a campaign, that the time to do it would be in draft mode. So in the top right-hand corner, you click Actions, and you can delete the campaign. But once it's launched, you won't be able to delete the campaign. So make sure that you're ready to go before you click Launch. But once I'm done here, then I'll click Next. It'll allow me to review all my targeting, the way I bid, my bid type, and then also what ads were in the campaign. Once I'm ready, I will click Launch. Now, I'm not going to click Launch here because this is just a demo, but you get the idea. That's how you successfully launch your first single image ad campaign. Now, let me actually go back out to the original screen to show you the dashboard, because I think there's a few highlights to point out here. Once you actually have your ad up and running and it's running great, let's say it's been running for about 2 weeks, which is the amount of time I would recommend letting your 4 ad creators run so that you can actually see how they're performing. What's happening here is that you'll be able to see different metrics. So you can see key results. So those key results are tied to the objective you selected. If we scroll down, I can see that for this lead generation campaign, the key result shows us leads. If for this awareness campaign or the website visits campaign, it shows you website visits as the key result. So it's tracking a key result in conjunction, or that is perfectly in line with the objective that you're choosing to go after with your campaign. So that's something to point out. And then also there are different metrics that you can also look at, such as, the cost per result. So cost per website visit, the impressions, clicks, average click-through rate, your bid, cost per impression, average cost per click, your cost per conversion, leads, and cost per lead. So these are some high-level metrics that you can see right within your dashboard. But I also think it's important to show you how you can also optimize your campaigns a little bit further. And also Jen will touch on optimizations later on to really support what I'm saying here. So whenever you want to take a look at the success of your campaign or how a campaign is performing, at any given time, you can hover over the campaign name and then you click Manage. You click Chart. So when you click Chart, it actually goes through to another page which shows you performance benchmarks, and then also it shows you demographic information. So obviously, because this campaign didn't actually run live, it has nothing showing here, but for your campaigns, you'll be able to see on a campaign by campaign basis how it's performing and where the areas of improvement are. What I want to show you specifically, which I think is the best part about this, is the demographics part. So on the demographics page, it actually breaks down by job function, job title, company industry, seniority, location. And this way you can really see, am I getting in front of the people who I want to get in front of? And just a prime example of that is, let's say you click to job title. Many people do job title targeting as their first campaign. If you see any titles that you do not want showing up here and that you see a lot of those people clicking, this is a great way to know I should exclude those people going forward. So, this is really just a gut check to you to let you know, are you on the right page or not, and what optimizations you need to make. Now, one last thing that I want to show you, because I mentioned the insights tag, I do want to show you where you can go to make sure that it's set up correctly, and then also where to set up conversion tracking. So what you do to get to the insight tag is you click account assets and click insight tag. And then once you're here, you can see that we are waiting for a signal from your insight tag, which means that, because someone has already arrived at this page, they've already seen the insight tag and maybe even tried to set it up somewhere, but it's waiting on a signal back. The reason why it's not seeing a signal here is because this is a demo account. But again, you want to make sure that you come here to this page. It will tell you if you're verified, if your insight tag is actually working correctly. If it's not, go to the help center, and I highly recommend leveraging the resources there or reaching out to our support team for further guidance. But this is essential to setting up conversion tracking, which we'll go to next. From this page, you can actually go to conversions, which obviously we haven't set up any conversions yet, but here's where you would do so. And to set up a conversion, you would click create a conversion. You would name it, ebook thank you page. And then you would enter the different settings to define what makes a conversion for me. So I can say that, I want to track leads on my website. On average, a lead is worth to me, $100. I want to, here I can set the actual window of how it's tracking conversions. So there are click conversions and there are also view through conversions. Click conversions are any conversions that happen directly after someone clicked on your ad. A view through conversion is a conversion where someone saw your ad, they maybe went off of the LinkedIn website, came back on, and then maybe went directly to your website. And because they already viewed the ad within the past 7 days, but then converted on your landing page, that would be considered a view through conversion. It's someone who viewed your ad but didn't directly click through to sign up, but they ended up signing up after receiving that impression. And then lastly, you also can select the attribution model that you want to choose for tracking your conversion. You can either do last touch for each campaign or last touch for the last campaign. And then you can go forward and actually select the campaigns you want to track. So let's just say I want to do this lead generation campaign, or I'll do awareness because lead generation you can't. But then lastly, you would want to define how you would like to track your conversion. So the way you would do that, and as I recommended, is through the insight tag. Now, if you have like an event that you're using Eventbrite as an example, and you're looking for registrations there, that's when you would use what's known as the event image pixel. So the image pixel is really the way to track when someone actually clicked on that register button, but there's no thank you page on the other end of the screen. So this is a way to track, through an action instead of, when someone arrives on a landing page. But since we have the insight tag selected, we can basically select pages that either start with a URL, have an exact URL, or have URLs that contain specific text. I always recommend doing URLs that contain specific text because a lot of times you might have UTM tracking or tracking codes on your ads that may show up. So you want to put the beginning of your landing page or the beginning of your thank you page in this box right here, and then it will track any conversions even if you have UTM tracking. So that was very long-winded, but
It was great.
awesome. So I hope you found value out of that. That is the live demo, and I'm going to actually go back to the presentation so we can move forward.
While Ashir is flipping his slides, I just want to say that was by far one of the most robust demos that I've ever seen. So treat that as like liquid gold. Rewatch his recording afterwards and follow along. He essentially addressed a lot of the questions that you guys are asking. So
Awesome.
Great job.
Oh, thank you, Renee. Trying to do my best for you guys, so hope you find it helpful. Now, I just want to touch on a few things before we, continue. And I think I touched on this already. This slide is really more of a reference for you. So it's really just how to monitor your campaign at a high level. I just covered a lot of these with the overview of the dashboard. But essentially, you want to just take a screenshot of this, have this as a quick reference to know how you can monitor your campaign. Also, this is another screen of how to monitor your campaign. Again, just a quick reference guide. take a screenshot or review the screen or review the recording afterward to make sure you have this as a quick access tool. Now, one thing I do want to highlight here, again, just to reiterate the importance of conversion tracking, is that when you use conversion tracking, you can do three main things. One, you can track performance with the LinkedIn Insight tag. So you can monitor specific conversion actions such as downloads, signups, registrations, and more. You can also understand your ROI. So by assigning value to specifically to the conversions that you have set up. So even if you are doing an event, let's say you're selling classes and they have to sign up via Eventbrite, you can actually assign a value to each of those registrations so that you know right from your LinkedIn dashboard, how much am I making, how much am I spending, and how much am I making back? And then lastly, you want to optimize your results. So as I covered, you want to make sure that you're using those campaign demographics and also even the website demographics, which is in the top part of your campaign manager tool, to really just review what's happening on your campaigns and on your website and how can you optimize further. So with that, I do have a poll question that I would like to pose to you. And it's just a little gut check to see if you were paying attention. How many ad creatives do we recommend you keep live in your campaign? A, 1, B, 3 to 4, or C, 10 to 11?
All right, while they're filling this out, I figured we can take a couple of the questions being asked. There's a question from Katie about A/B testing. So when you set up an A/B testing campaign, what are your thoughts on how you set up? Do you set up separate campaigns or multiple ads within one campaign?
Yeah, so when I recommend A/B testing, the best way I recommend setting that up, it really depends on your objective first and foremost. So I think we should always start there. But let's say your objective was to just generate leads, and and you're looking to use the lead gen forms. So you select the lead generation ad type, and you would create 4 ads within that one campaign, and what you would let it run for a couple of weeks to see which ads are really going to outperform the others. That way you know how to scale up and what ads to turn down.
Yep, that's awesome. We can jump back to the poll results.
Oh, awesome. So, the poll results are in, and the majority of people got it right. 94% of people selected 3 to 4 ads, and that is the correct answer. We always recommend 3 to 4 ads, but again, as I mentioned, 4 ads is the best way to go.
Yeah, and it's very easy to be kind of afraid of setting up 3 to 4 ads. It might seem like a ton of creatives that you have to create. When we say 3 to 4, it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 completely different ones. Sometimes it's as easy as just updating the headline and calling out your target audience, maybe even adding emojis. We've had some success, but just try to limit your emoji usage as a whole to make sure it's relevant. But that's a little tip for you guys.
Awesome. So I think we have one more poll question, which is what ad unit would show up in the LinkedIn newsfeed to members that you target but are not on your LinkedIn page? A, direct sponsored content, or B, sponsored content? And I'll give a few to select that.
All right, take another question right now. There's somebody is asking about whether or not there's a way to set up time of day advertising because their daily spend is typically used up before business hours. So I can really quickly answer that. We function based off of Greenwich Mean Time, GMT time, which means that if you're not segmenting your campaigns by region, you might actually face this issue. So our general best practice is to actually create different campaigns based off of the regions that you're targeting. And then this actually ties into another question someone had about best practices for organizing campaign groups versus campaigns versus ads. Any thoughts on that?
I would say for your campaign group, it would be like the overall objective. So maybe it's like a demand gen campaign group versus like an awareness campaign group would be one way to organize it. And then, so demand gen campaign group, and then within that, you can have several campaigns. It could all be going after the same audience. So for example, the IT decision maker, but maybe have 2 or 3 campaigns. One is job titles, one is seniority and function, and then the third would be skills and function. It could be skills and function or skills plus seniority. And then you can see how everything performs, and then have the same 3 to 4 ads within each of those 3 campaigns.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, jumping back, poll question.
Yep. So jumping back to the poll results, I actually see a 50-50 split between direct sponsored content and sponsored content. But the answer, in fact, is direct sponsored content. And I want to just touch on the difference between the two very quickly. So direct sponsored content is also otherwise known as a dark post, where essentially you're sending in an ad that is not on your company page directly to the target audience that you select in your targeting. A sponsored content post is when it's a piece of content that was already on your company page, but you're looking to boost that post and get it to more people. So direct sponsored content, again, is not on your company page, but is directly sent to those target audience members. And that's the one that would show up in your newsfeed, but not on your LinkedIn page. Awesome. So are we doing more Q&A?
Yeah, we took some questions, so I think we'll jump into Jen's optimizations.
All right, awesome. So Jen?
Okay, so we're gonna wrap everything up with talking about different ways to optimize your program. So there's really 3 main levers that you can be pulling to optimize a campaign. So one is targeting, the second is bids and budget, and the third is on content. So we'll dive into all 3 of those. So let's take this scenario here. It says you are seeing high engagement or click-through rates, but you're seeing low conversions and third-party reporting. What can you do? Well, first off, you could use the campaign demographics and really understand what that audience looks like who is engaging and converting with your program, and then who are the people that are not. What are those functions? What are those seniority levels? What are those job titles? And then you can go ahead and start excluding those lower performers from your overall campaign. Again, if you have the conversion tracking set up, you can really see who's converting as opposed to just engaging. Secondly, in addition to the conversion tracking piece, make sure that your program is set up to be optimized for mobile. So much traffic is going to be coming from mobile that you want to make sure that it's a really good, clean experience on the mobile phone when people click to your site. And also, again, for any sort of demand gen efforts, consider running a lead gen form campaign. Again, as we've talked about, performance is really strong. We see very high completion rates as opposed to completion rates on website pages. And it's optimized for mobile. It's super clean, and people don't really have to enter much information other than hit submit, unless you have some custom questions. Okay, so the scenario number 2, your campaigns are having trouble scaling despite having relatively large audience of 200,000 or more members. So what could you do? So there's 2 different things that you can be looking at. One is the bids and one is reviewing the content. So again, remember with the bids that we really recommend bidding outside of the suggested range by about 10 to 20%. This will help you have the best traction out of the gate to really start getting a lot of impressions and performance, and things will soon even out pretty quickly. Alternatively, you can run automated bidding and just let the system take care of it on your behalf. And then next, review the content. So make sure that the intro text is super concise. Make sure that the value prop is conveyed very well, that the messaging is relevant to your audience, and that your content is really the driving factor of your relevancy score and just how often your ads will appear within the newsfeed. So looking more specifically on the bids, this is an example of the CPC and CPM when it's a suggested range. So kind of on the right side of the square, this CPC range is $7 to $9.36. However, you should bid actually above that at $10.36. And then same example with the CPM, it's like a dollar more than what's suggested. Otherwise, you can just do the automated bidding. And again, the Campaign Manager tool will take care of the bidding and the pricing on your behalf. So again, if you're having trouble scaling, but your audience is of a good size, look at the bids, review that it is set at the right range, really go for a dollar more than the suggested range. Reminder, this is a second price auction, so you will only pay 1 cent more than the second highest bidder. So again, if you are bidding $10, but someone else is bidding $8, you will win, and you will only pay $8.01. Next, remember that you can always go back into the Campaign Manager tool and adjust your bids. If you don't like the CPC that you've been paying for, you can always bring it down. And then, finally, your relevancy score is really important to help win the auction, which is, this internal score that is kind of looking at how well your ads and your overall campaign is performing. So ways to make sure that that's strong is just having really good content and a really good bidding strategy. So diving into content, we've said this multiple times today, but really visual is the new headline. So you really want your ad imagery to be very striking and make people stop them in the feed and just be able to really comprehend what it is that they're seeing. So it's really clear. I mean, these are two very different ads. Both are really eye-catching, from like this cool AI image to this very clean stat that's sitting in the other image. It makes me want to read more about it. So make sure that you have a really clear call to action and just don't bury it too much in the text. Less is more within the text. We really recommend having like 140 to 150 characters in your text, so then that way it's all there. People don't have to click more to see more of the copy. And then just a fun fact on some of the internal tests that we have ran from our marketing team is that this little nuance, the call to action register outperformed the word join by 165% more clicks when we were promoting a webinar. So if you're going to promote a webinar, say register as opposed to join. Another really great best practice in being able to kind of hook your audience is to ask a question, make a statement, or use a really interesting fact. So again, like, hey marketers, did you know that overall budgets of 2020 are going to grow by X percentage? Like that sort of stuff. It like really makes people stop, read it, and likely click more. Again, another really interesting fun fact from some different tests that we've ran internally is that we saw quotes used within the imagery, like our CEO, Jeff, said, this, like actually on the image, really outperformed just a stat by 30%. So that's definitely something that you can incorporate when you are creating your images. And really importantly, just continue to A/B test. There is so much to learn from A/B testing, and it can be just the smallest little nuance. These ads look so similar, but there is just a difference in the copy here. And then you can learn what's going to work best with your audience. And as we learned, the version A outperformed version B by 17%. This is also a really good example of when you're trying to think of like, oh, I need to have 3 to 4 ads in a campaign. I mean, these ads, there's 2 right there, right? They look so similar. It was just the copy that was tweaked a bit. So you can take this approach when creating ads. Here is another really great example of A/B testing that our marketing team leveraged. So the copy is the same, but the images are very, very different. And so I'm curious, you can think to yourself which one just jumps out at you more. And really, the top performer by a long shot was version B. It had 160% higher click-through rate, and it had a 289% higher conversion rate than image A. So again, you just need to test, 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 and you'll see what works. It's like this balance of an art and a science. And have fun. So remember, LinkedIn is a professional platform. Yes, people are in a professional mindset. However, we're all humans, and we all have a sense of humor, and being able to be fun, have a playful voice, use some memes here and there, like it goes a really long way, and you're gonna stand out because I'd say more often than not, a lot of the ads tend to be on the conservative side. So if you go with something slightly playful, like it's really gonna pop and stand out above the crowd.
All right, before we close it out for final Q&A, I just have a couple of housekeeping details. The first thing is make sure you join us at all our other labs. This is not the only one we host. Fundamentals is definitely more of the 101 beginner lab that we host. And then like Jen helped me call out earlier, we have a using LinkedIn for lead generation, reporting analytics deep dive. All of them are also available on demand. So we'll send out a link. Be sure to check that out. And then big favor for you and reminder as well, please take our survey at the end of this class. I'm actually going to set it live right now. So take that now while I'm talking. One call out is that we also will be sending out the recording as well as all the slides from today's class, other Help Center articles, the blog that Ashir mentioned, all of that will be sent out to you after the session. So you'll have that readily available. With that, we can jump into a couple of quick questions in the last couple minutes, if that's cool with the two of you.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Cool. I love this question because I know that LinkedIn Ads caters not just to enterprise companies, but also smaller sized businesses. Victoria was wondering, with small budgets, how can she get good A/B testing learnings without draining her budget?
Yeah. So Victoria, right?
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah. So hi, Victoria. Just to address that, I work with, I have over 150 small to medium-sized businesses in my book, so I'm very familiar with your situation. I do recommend having a long-term approach, and when I say that, I do recommend that if you do have a smaller budget, maybe using one quarter to really test out to see what's going to resonate with your audience, and then leveraging future budget to go specifically after the audience that you know is going to resonate with your ads, and also the ad format that really is going to touch that audience. So I know it's a bit longer of an approach, but I think it'll definitely help your business in the long run.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would call out, Victoria, is that when you think about A/B testing, we talked a lot about A/B testing with your campaigns. You can also start to lightweight A/B test on your LinkedIn page. That's a free way. So post whatever content you want to try out and see what's working really well. Jen called out page analytics, so you can see top performing posts. So you're only then promoting those. And you know that's tried and true and works with your audience. So that's another little tip for you. I think with that, I might end right now and close it out. Thank you for joining us for an entire 2 hours. Thank you, Ashir and Jen. You guys were incredible experts. And we'll hopefully see you again next month.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.